Hey friends, welcome back to Raising Your Prices Challenge. My name is Elena Mutunono, and I help online language teachers and coaches create a sustainable and smart online teaching business that they actually enjoy, that has a great impact, that does not wear them out or burn them out. Now, today, I would like to focus on 4 futile emotions that a lot of teachers remain in for years. And they probably remain in those emotions because they don't know how to get out of them. And they feel that it doesn't matter how you feel when you want to build your own business. It doesn't matter as long as you take the steps towards what you want to achieve, you will be okay. As long as you know the steps, as long as you have blueprints and strategies, you are going to be successful. But after a few years, if you remain with those emotions, and I'm about to tell you what they are, if you remain in those emotions, they will wear you out. You will either start feeling overwhelmed or doubtful, or you will quit. You will be quitting, starting and quitting again. You will feel like you need to perfect things. You will probably try new strategy, and without any kind of focus, it will quickly go away, fall away, and then you will try to chase something else, the kind of shiny object syndrome. And a lot of teachers that come to me, they have no idea that one of the reasons they can't get to the goals they want, maybe the income goals that they want, or even the structure of a business that they want that will give them more freedom, is because they allow themselves to just wallow in these emotions and remain in them for a long time. And then they feed them with more thoughts that create more of the same emotions that deliver us the same results. Now, because we want to work smarter and not harder, because we don't want to hustle and throw spaghetti on the wall expecting different results, we are going to explore these emotions and sit with them. That's what therapists usually say. You sit with your emotions. What the heck does that mean? Well, it means that you don't numb them. And we usually numb them with different things. We binge watch, we quit, we try to, get lost in, reading, or we just move away and try not to do, or do barely enough to get us by. And after a few years, it kind of gets under your skin. And then you have a choice. Either you want to continue like that, kind of wobbling, or you want to do something about it. And that's when you need to turn on the light in that room and look at the mess you have and start making some changes. And we'll start with the emotions that, I don't know, maybe 95% of online language teachers that come to my Q&As or free discovery calls, they come in, they tell me, when I ask them, how do you feel? They will tell me exactly the same 4 emotions. They will share those with me. And interestingly, it can continue for years. And I know that because I've been in this business for quite a long time. I started out in 2009 working with teachers, helping them use technology in their lessons. And I even received a grant from the US Embassy in Ukraine for that kind of work. And the vision was to turn it into a business, but I had no idea how to do that. And I would start and quit and start and quit because I had so many trials and failures and I did not know what to do with them. You can check out my previous video about failure. And eventually I decided to do it more in depth in 2014. I started my blog and so forth. And one of the things that I hear that people say is they feel this way. And some of those people that were with me back in 2014 when I started, they continued staying with those emotions for a number of years, not getting the results they wanted, or starting something. Oh, let me start my YouTube channel and then quitting. Or let me start my Instagram account and then quitting. Or let me start with a newsletter and then quitting. And it just never allowed them to gain traction. And these emotions are the ones that you really need to explore, sit with them, and go on a diet, meaning choosing different thoughts so that you do not go back into these emotions. So in this exercise, we're going to doodle these emotions. That's how I sit with them. You can also, if you are not into doodling, you can journal about how you feel about each emotion. How does that feel in your body? At first, it will feel really weird trying to identify, okay, how does that really feel in my body? But try it. Try sitting with that. And as you explore that, think about, what do I think that leads to this emotion? What do I usually say to myself? What story goes on in my head? So let's get started. So the four emotions that we are going to work through and that I hear online language teachers talk about is overwhelmed, okay? The next one is confused. And these emotions are futile because they don't give you any results. You can stay in these emotions and you can choose to stay in these emotions in different ways, which we will explore. And then you will discover that it's very difficult to really, move past them. The next one would be doubt and worry. And when I say it's difficult to move past them, is if you don't do anything about this, you just are going to stay in that for a long, long time and continue feeding them, just like I said. Okay, we'll start with overwhelm. And I'm going to doodle how I feel when I am overwhelmed. Okay, so I'm going to draw my head, my hair, and in my hair, there will be, in my head, there will be all these thoughts. And I feel like these thoughts get so big and they pile one on top of the other. And that's how overwhelmed feels for me. It's just like, I feel like my head is going to explode. And I feel like I need to hold it together. That's how overwhelmed feels for me. The meaning of the word overwhelm, of this emotion, buried beneath a huge mass. That's the definition that I think really hits home with me. Buried beneath a huge mass. Okay. And now as I'm coloring it and I'm actually present with this emotion, I'm thinking about the last time I was overwhelmed, what causes that overwhelm, the kind of thought that I have when I'm overwhelmed. What do I think when I'm overwhelmed with something? There's lots of thoughts. What do I think? I think there's no way I'm going to do whatever. It's too hard. It's too hard. That's how it feels for me, overwhelmed. And what I say to myself when I'm overwhelmed. I say to myself, it's just too hard. It's too hard. And interestingly, when this happens, I'm so like burdened by all this mass of thoughts that I never want to move past them. It's very difficult to move when you have something on your head that is super heavy. And so you remain in this. And the way you feed it is you try to resolve that. It's like, oh, it's too hard. You want to go on and find a solution, and you're numbing yourself. You find a solution that is going to help you overcome this overwhelm. And you take a course because you feel like, oh, well, this course, or you read a book and you feel like, well, this book or this course is going to help me with my overwhelm. And what it actually does is the opposite. It adds to it. And then I don't know what to do. I don't do the work that I quote unquote need to do for my business, that I know I should be doing for my business. But I keep piling more and more and more information on myself, hoping that I will find that magic thing that will resolve my overwhelm. The next emotion is confused. And confused is this lack of certainty, understanding, or clarity. Confusion is lack of certainty, understanding, or clarity. So when I think of confusion, I'm going to draw myself. And again, like when I'm confused, I just feel like there's something going on around me. There are these ideas. There's lots of stuff in my head that is happening when I am in these futile emotions. They also call them indulgent emotions, because you feel like you can get out of them, and you feel trapped by them, I should say, and you try to get out of them by doing exactly the same thing that got you confused in the first place. And confusion for me happens in my business when I try to follow every strategy there is, and I never stick with it. And so it's like I'm trying one thing, and then my feet go the other way. And I also feel like this heaviness in my chest when I'm confused. There's a lot going on in my head with all of these emotions, which is kind of interesting to notice. And really, if you are running a business and you often have headaches, that might be your body telling you. I'm not saying that not to attend to your physical being, but your body sometimes tells you, okay, this is too much. And then it seems counterintuitive, but you feel like, oh, I just one more thing. And then maybe it's this, and you're confused. You don't know, is this going to work? Is that going to work? And it doesn't. Okay, I will let it all blend, because that kind of gives you the idea of how inside this confusion and indecision just gets into my body. And I go kind of in circles, like maybe this, and my hands try this thing, my feet move into a different, I'm confused, different direction. So I'm going to cut this out, remind myself what this really means. And if you are not into doodling, that's totally fine. But sitting with emotions is important to know, and try to feel them in your body. And then when there comes a time when you feel that way, you can look at it and say, well, I can make a choice. Oh, and then when I'm overwhelmed, I say, this is hard. But when I'm confused, I say to myself, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And that is really disempowering, because instead of looking for solutions, you just continue in this spiral, the spiraling. I have a lot of like feeling of spiraling when I am confused. So maybe I can just kind of draw this spirals. Doubt is the next one. When I doubt, I feel heaviness in my arms and hands. I feel like I'm carrying these weights on both sides, and I don't know which way to go. Okay, and then there's this one, the same thing. Whoops. I doubt. And again, something happening in my chest, like this palpitations almost. When you doubt, when I doubt, I say to myself, that I'm not enough to solve this problem. I'm not enough to find a solution. I need to figure things out first. But first, I say a lot when I'm doubtful. But first, let me do this. Is this good? And so you go back and forth in circles, and it just never takes you anywhere. This doubt. Am I good? Am I good enough, to solve this? I feel doubt. I don't have all the resources. The so-called imposter syndrome really comes in. And the definition of doubt that I like, that goes really well with how I feel or what I think, is lack of confidence. I'm not sure. Feel doubt. And last one is worry. Oh my. Worry is anxiety or unease about potential. It's when you dwell on difficulty. And when I am worried, I feel it in my stomach. It's burning. I am worried and anxious. I don't know what's happening. And I kind of feel powerless as well. But there's this big fire in my stomach. And when I worry about things, I say to myself, for example, what if a lot? What if this thing is not going to work? What if I fail? And so I dwell on this difficulty. And most of the time, it's not even real. I just created it. But oh, that is really hard, because I immediately lose my sleep. I know when I worry. And what if this is not going to work? And then I don't do the work that I need to do for it to work, because I give all my power to worry. And my stomach is screaming at me, why are you doing this? And I think maybe I should eat to make myself feel better. Or maybe I shouldn't eat. And I start snacking and doing all kinds of stuff to make it smaller. And so here they are, 4 futile emotions. They're also called indulgent emotions that may keep you in place running around in circle for years. You might want to build a business that is successful, a business that is sustainable, a business that is going to bring you satisfaction. But if you feel these emotions and if you feed these emotions by certain thoughts that create these emotions, like, I don't know, this is too much, this is too hard, I don't know what to do, I'm not sure, what if this happens? Like, if you constantly bring those thoughts up, they create more of the same emotion. And if you don't like to be present with this emotion, you start numbing yourself, then this emotion grows, just like cancer. And so this is what a lot of teachers experience when they want to build a business, and they don't realize that the thoughts that they think or the actions that they take that multiply those same feelings is actually, if not taking them away from their results, just keeping them stuck for years. And that is why you start a certain strategy and you never finish. You start posting content and you don't, you start perfecting it, so you never post it. You start a newsletter and then you tell yourself, I don't know what to write, right? You're doubtful. And so instead of working with the thought of, I don't know what to write, you just give yourself into this thought, and it's futile and it doesn't lead you anywhere. And that's when you stop doing the stuff and you lose your momentum and all that. If you want to dig deeper into the emotions behind running your business, into how our thoughts really affect our future, if you have questions about it, we do a deeper dive in my free monthly coaching sessions, and I invite you to join them by signing up using the link in the description. You will get the link to the meeting, and then you can join us and be present and try to do the hard work, because it's very easy. All these kinds of emotions that I talked about, they're default emotions. This is what we go back to. Our primitive brain goes back to, because it's easy, and the brain does not want to do the work. But if you are willing to do the work, if you have the dream that you believe is worth doing the work, then I hope you will join me in our sessions, and I will answer your questions. And I would love to connect with you and give you enough inspiration for you to move on with a completely different emotional state. Thank you so much, and until later.